name is Alfonso Pascual. I started Musicrioja in 2019, and now, 6 years later, in 2025, we are here in San Sebastián with the Bruce Springsteen and Street band trombonist Ozzie Melendez. Ozzie, welcome.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
How are you? Fine.
Yeah, very good.
How's
Thank
the city?
you.
Do you like San Sebastián?
I love it here. Yeah, we were just talking that maybe try and buy a place and stay here for a little while.
It's very good. It's very close to us, so it's a pleasure to have you very near in this city. So I want to start with the very first question that people makes me when they see that you play with Musicrioja mouthpieces, and is why? How did we knew each other? What did you think about my first message? And, tell me.
Well, I started playing plastic mouthpieces maybe 15 years ago. It was by accident. I think I told you the story that I was going to Venezuela to get some work done on my teeth. I didn't want to bring my actual trombone. It's too heavy, and I was afraid maybe it would get stolen. So I brought the P-bone, which is a plastic, all plastic trombone, and it had a plastic mouthpiece. Yes. So I brought that, and I played with that until I got the surgery on my mouth. And when I came home and I tried to play my regular trombone with the regular mouthpiece, I couldn't play it. So I said, well, let me try using the metal, the plastic mouthpiece, and it sounded great, and I was able to last longer. Yes. My endurance, it felt better. It was always warm, and I said, wow. And I didn't lose anything. I didn't, everybody says that the metal, going from metal to plastic, you're going to lose some sort of sound. Yes. The more the mass, the more sound you get, and okay, that might be true, but I feel like a lot of times it's not the Indian, right? It's not the arrow, it's the Indian.
It's different from every musician.
From musician to musician.
We all should find our ideal mouthpiece and the way that we are feeling comfortable, and abandon those things, those thoughts.
That's the idea. And I thought after 15 years of people seeing me record on 1 million records, playing with Marc Anthony, playing all that kind of salsa, then playing mellow stuff, playing funk, playing all stuff.
Very different
and
styles.
I was always using that plastic mouthpiece that it would catch on, but nobody believed in it.
Yeah.
When you saw me play with Bruce, and you still had that same idea, that's when you wrote to me, and we had that same idea in common, that especially for people that have allergies too.
Yeah, it's very useful for that.
It's very useful, yeah.
Yes.
And if you drop it, it's not going to.
It's not going to.
It's not going to dent that piece.
Yeah, we tested.
We tested that before.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. How do you feel? How important is the mouthpiece in a brass instrument? I mean, brass instrument, the embouchure is very important, and the mouthpiece is the very first thing that we have in our lips. Yeah. But I think that the very important part is the way that you have that lips prepared to play.
Yeah, that's obviously it's very important. For me, I'm not a very technical, I have never been a very technical as far as equipment is concerned. I pick up an instrument, I put a mouthpiece in it, and if it doesn't sound right, when I was growing up, I just felt like it was because of me. Yes. So I would stay with that mouthpiece, stay with that instrument, and I would just keep practicing until it sounded good. Only till later on in life that I realized that, like in golf, right there, you could use the old clubs or you could use the new technology, and it's a lot easier with the new technology. So that's when I started getting interested in this and realizing that, the right mouthpiece that fits you, the way you play, and that equipment that you brought today is really intriguing to me, because you could actually see the air, how it comes out of your mouth, how it's directing, and all that stuff is very important. I never thought about it that way. Yeah. And so I'm glad that, I'm starting to think about it that way, and people like you out there that are pushing that.
It's the idea of this project to make the music more accessible, and to bring tools to this place that there are not many tools and not very studies. We are very close to have, like you mentioned, the mouthpiece when you start, and it's the same for you and for your colleagues that are playing with you. That idea is very important, especially in the very first years, to have that ideal mouthpiece or have something different. There are no two embouchures that are similar, so we must find our ideal mouthpiece in that way. Yes. Well,
hopefully, what we did today, I played for about a half hour. You kept on giving me different options, different mouthpieces, different sizes, and we narrowed it down to, I think, 3. Yes. Right, that was the process. We narrowed it down to 3 that are roughly comfortable for me. You're going to make that into 1 with with all the data that you took with your instruments, right?
Yes.
You had something that was showing I'm not so smart with this stuff, but you were.
Don't worry.
It was the pressure that was coming back to me and how much pressure was going out to keep a ball up in the air.
Yes.
That's once. Yes. Yeah. So that was something that you were going to take the data from. and then you had the thing that went into the application that showed the air coming out of my...
Yes,
Yeah,
to see that pressure point in your vibration.
Yeah.
In your
I mean, it really didn't take long. It was a process that was very... I mean, the hardest part for me was that it's in the morning. I was still a little bit hinchado. I can't believe it.
Yeah, you're broke. Yeah.
I was a little swollen. My lips were swollen, so it was a little hard for me to warm up. But with that data that we have, it didn't take long, and it seems like it's going to be something.
It's something you see. It's something very simple, and I'm impressed that until this moment nobody worries about doing something different, something special, but not very special at the same time as you said.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy for that, and I'm very happy that reaching artists like you, this is going to be more visible, and people will realize that I'm not printing toys. I'm printing useful tools for brass musicians.
It's funny, when I was playing the other mouthpiece that I told you from the P-Bone, everybody said, why are you playing a 10-cent mouthpiece? And I'm like, it doesn't matter whether it's 10 cents or $1,000. If it works for you and it sounds good, you call it a toy if you want. But what you're making are not toys. These are actual, what is the actual, it's not plastic, you're using...
Yeah, it's a special plastic for be 100% safe with the skin. It's a derivative from
It's like hypoallergenic and
yes,
not...
That's right. That's right, and we are working right now to develop another material with antibacterial material, so even more safer.
There are
and
people
it's also biodegradable, so it's safe also with the environment. We try to close that circle. Yeah,
very nice.
It's very good.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, because there are also people that are very allergic to nickel, and I guess from what I understand, all metal has nickel, a little bit of nickel in it. And so with this type of mouthpiece, you can alleviate all that problem of the allergies, unless you're allergic to
plastic, for
into
example.
plastic.
Yeah, but nobody's allergic to plastic.
Then you're messed up.
You're right. You always wanted to be a trombonist. When did you realize that you wanted to become a trombonist in your life?
Yeah, well, I started in 4th grade. In the United States, you start in 4th grade, where you have to pick an instrument. My best friend who lived on my block was a year older than I was. So when I was in 3rd grade, he was in 4th grade, he played the trombone, so I would see him with the trombone going to the bus stop. So when it was my turn a year later to pick an instrument, I just said, I'll just pick the trombone like my friend. And that's what happened. And never really thinking back then that it was going to be my profession. But as you keep doing, you have your solos, you're playing, as you keep in school, as you keep playing in the different school bands, and the teachers are saying to your parents, he's got talent, he's got talent, he's got talent. So I just kept doing it, then winning awards and stuff like that, and I just kept with it. And I just felt like, and my parents never said to me, you should fall back on something in case you can't make a good living with music. They never said that. They said, follow your dream.
They trust you.
Basically, the world will tell you when it's time to step off and do something else. And the world never told me. And so I've landed here with the E Street Band. So.
That's very nice.
But before this, I played with a lot of the stuff that kept me.
Yeah, where you were growing up when the years were going. And you ever dreamed to play with Bruce, with Marc Anthony, with artists like this, or you just let flow and be prepared, as you mentioned in other interviews, be prepared for the moment?
Always be prepared, for sure. That's the biggest thing. I always told myself that I wanted to, I never mentioned any names for some reason. I never said, I want to play with, Blood, Sweat and Tears, or I want to play with Marc Anthony. I never said that. I always, as growing up, I just always said, I want whoever the best is, and if they need a trombone player, that they would call me.
Be there.
That was always it, whether it would be for concerts, whether it would be for playing for television sound scores, for playing for, commercials.
Yes.
Whatever it was, if somebody needed a horn section with a trombone, or even a singer, that they would call me. That was always my dream, so that's what I always practiced to do. Always practice reading music, because I knew that was important. Because when you go into the studio, they don't want you to take a lot of time. They want you to look at the music and be able to play it perfectly. And
yes.
So all that stuff, and you have to be prepared.
That's very nice, and changing between styles, because Marc Anthony is more salsa, and probably Bruce is the best rock and roll band in the world.
That's the other thing too. You have to learn how to play all different styles. The more you know, the more chances you have of staying alive in this business.
I see that this is very difficult, especially here in Spain. People is probably more prepared to play in a close style, not in different styles like you did. So that shocks me that you cover all these styles, and that's amazing.
That's just being like we said, being prepared and that's part of the process of becoming somebody that hasn't done a lot coming up and then tries to gets put into this type of level. I don't know. I mean, it's possible that they can do it, but there are little things that could happen during a night that if you're not prepared. For example, Bruce he'll change songs. You know, we'll have a set list, but he'll change it.
Yes.
And if you haven't played that song in a long time, and you're not prepared, and you get nervous, and you make a mistake in front of 90,000 people when everybody's videoing, that's a problem.
Yes.
But if you have done that before in other band situations, which I have, where the leader will call a different song, or he'll stop a song in the middle, or he'll make you solo, you know, and you're playing, you haven't soloed on that song, you don't really know the changes or whatever, and he'll say, hey, play a solo. Well, you have to be ready for that.
Yes.
And so if you haven't learned how to do that growing up, you could freeze.
It's very important.
That's very important.
Yes. And what's next for Ozzie Melendez? You play salsa, you play rock and roll, what's next?
Well, let me see. So once this tour ends, which is going to end July 3rd, like we were talking about, you have to stay prepared. So I'll keep practicing. I have the studio at home, so I continue recording for other people. They send me files and I record for them. I have stuff with Blood, Sweat and Tears, which is, I'm not sure if you've heard of them. They're a famous group from the United States from the 60s. And they won the Grammy. They beat the Beatles in 1970, I think, for Album of the Year. So they're a very popular group. They were the most famous band in the world at one point.
Okay.
Blood, Sweat and Tears. Yeah. And so I play with them, so I have some shows with them. And whatever else pops up, you know. I have my band that we do all Tower of Power, Earth, Wind and Fire. It's an 11-piece funk band, and that's been around for 40 years, so I'll keep doing that. But I'm really hoping, as everybody else, is that we'll get that email or that phone call saying, pack your bags, Bruce is going back next year, and we'll be like, yeah. So that's what we're all hoping for.
Until the wheel comes off, as the boss says.
As the wheels come off. But you know, he could do whatever he wants. You know,
he can play wherever he wants.
He can play by himself, he could do whatever he wants.
Can we take it to Logroño, to La Rioja, and make a concert there with Bruce? Who do I need to talk with?
You can't talk to me, I don't have any say.
That will be amazing.
That would be great, I know.
Yeah, but I think it's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
But
that, everybody's hoping for that. Everybody's hoping that he uses the same configuration.
It's a pleasure. When we noticed that you were playing here in San Sebastián, was shocking for all, because Bruce played in the past some concerts here, but I think it's the smallest stadium and the smallest attendance to a stadium of all these 2 years of tour. So yeah, it's very nice. We felt that on Saturday we were like in a close family. Did you enjoy that concert? Oh my God, it was fantastic. I don't know if you saw when I walked out, you know how we all walk out on stage, you know, singularly, like I'll come out, somebody else comes out, and as I came out, I went, oh my God. It was just, you know, was it 60,000 people? How many does that hold? It's 40.
It felt like 100,000 people.
Yeah, we are very loudly here.
It was very loud and emotional. I had said that in a bunch of interviews too.
And the stadium has something special. It's where Real Sociedad plays, and in the past years we were used to come here to see them play, and yeah, I love the stadium, I love the city. Only will be better if you play in La Rioja. I think it's the best place we could attend this concert.
That would be great.
It was really good. I want to make you 3 short questions that I want. This is the second interview that I made. The first one was with my trumpet teacher.
Right, I saw that one. I think, didn't I?
Not yet. I record with some friends of me, Hablar por las Codas, that make a podcast. And now I have an interview with my trumpet teacher. It's not yet. Probably when I publish this interview, my trumpet teacher interview will be published as well. But I want, as I told you, to tell my story, to tell the story of this project, and I want to do like 3 main questions, 3 short questions. The first one is, which is your favorite song, the one that you enjoy most playing, the one that your
with
favorite
Bruce?
song? No, ever. Your favorite song?
Wow, I really don't have a favorite. I mean, my favorite song to play, that's a really good question. I don't know that I have a favorite. I have a lot of favorites. I mean, one comes to mind now. I love playing City of Ruins with Bruce. When I was with Marc, I used to love to play, I'm going to forget the name of it now. It's a really great arrangement, horn arrangement that was done by...
That's the one you produced one night at 2 a.m. that I read somewhere. There was a song with Marc Anthony that you said that you produced.
Oh no, I didn't produce. What happened was, that was Celos. That's another great song.
Yes.
I think it's on the Libre album. It's called Celos. He called me at like midnight. Hey, come to my house, we're recording. And I'm like, it's midnight. And it was a really bad snowstorm. I said, there's no way I can get there. No, I thought he lived in Manhattan. I didn't know that he had bought a property on Long Island that was maybe a half hour from me. Make a long story short, I shoveled my driveway and I drove to the house and we recorded Celos. But I was warming up, like you heard me do when you were setting up. I was warming up and he goes, what is that you're playing? I go, no, it's just arpeggios. I'm just warming up. He goes, I like that. And we developed the intro to a song called Celos, and it was because of that.
It's amazing.
It's just from warming up. But I love playing that song too, although we didn't play it that very many times when we were touring.
It's difficult to choose one song, yeah.
What's that?
It's difficult to choose one song.
It's difficult, yeah, because I like playing different songs for different reasons, right? I mean, I love playing with Willie Colon. I love playing, it doesn't matter, like a Tower Power song. I guess it depends on what style.
On the moment, of course, also.
Yeah.
And what's your favorite concert? This is the next question. The concert that you enjoyed most? You play at the last show at Shira. You played in front of.
That I played?
Yes, that you played.
Oh,
the
okay.
one that you played that you will never forget. The one you said is.
Well, Barcelona was pretty amazing.
This year?
No, last year.
Last year. Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, in these two.
And also, probably that one. Oh, actually, okay. So I'll never forget playing with Willie Colon and Rubén Blades when they got back together. We played in Venezuela. It's on YouTube. It has to be like 200,000 people. We played on the tarmac of an airport. Excuse me. And all you could do was see, just people. And then as far as you could see, then they had more speakers out there and a screen for people that were way out there that could look at the screen. That's how far it was.
That's crazy. That
concert was amazing. That one I'll never forget. And you could look that up on YouTube. It's Willie Colon, Rubén Blades, Venezuela. And unbelievable. We played all those famous songs, Plástico, all those famous songs that those two did together, from the Siembra record, that was a great concert.
I will look at it.
Yeah, you're gonna love it. Oh, and there's a song called Plástico, where you'll see that usually salsa doesn't have a drummer, but in this song there's drums at the beginning of the song. See if you could tell who the drummer is when you watch.
Okay.
That's all I'll say. Take a look.
I take a look at it. Yeah.
And then I'll give you a hint. So the drums is just for the intro, and then it goes into salsa. So you'll see the drummer jump off the drum set and run over to his instrument, and then start playing his instrument.
That's crazy.
All right, so
that's nice. And the last one, you have to define the music in one word.
Define music?
Define music in one word.
Oh my God!
What does it mean for you?
Healing. Yeah, it heals. Music heals totally. I see people. I look out there. I see people crying and laughing, and you can be in the worst mood on the planet. You can, have the worst pain.
Yeah.
And you hear music, and it just lifts you up. So, yeah, for me, healing is a good word.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So in this moment, I want to bring you some presents that I prepared for you. Yes.
Presents for me?
Yes, I have. I prepared something. For me, it's been a very emotional year because 1 year ago, as you mentioned, I was watching you just in the
I don't think we told that story. You should tell that story.
Yeah, well, my part of the story, I know it very well. I wanted to know your part of the story, but yeah, I was on the stage and I showed you that you were playing with a non-metal mouthpiece, and I said, my words were, I'm gonna write him. They will like him, my mouthpiece, and I don't know if he's going to play in a Bruce concert.
Well, the perfect part about it was, like I told you, is that I had been looking for somebody to be able to do exactly what you do. I said, there has to be somebody. And then you texted me and I went, oh my God, thank you.
Yeah, thank
it was unbelievable because I was actually looking for a 3D printer myself, but I don't know anything about So when you wrote to me, I went, oh my God.
Right now I have 6 years of experience. Last year I had 5 years of experience.
Right.
But it cost me 3 years until I get that study close enough to go to the market and go to people. So I have a lot of years of working hard and be prepared. As you mentioned, you need to be prepared. I was prepared in that concert. I was prepared to knew
totally
you.
Prepared.
And it shocked me. It shocked me that you were so close to this. You were very enthusiastic about my message, and I was like, yeah, thank you for.
And I did use that mouthpiece almost immediately.
Yes.
Your mouthpiece.
I was shocked, yeah, because I sent you by the end of July, I think, I sent you the package, and you started touring in probably August or September. And when I saw the picture, yeah, you were playing with the mouthpiece, was like, yeah, thank you, because it's a dream that I never had, and was a dream true. So we prepared this, and yeah, the capo is giving you.
Oh my God! Look at that.
And that's like for closing this collaboration and this way that we're working together.
How am I looking?
Yes. And open it up. It's like a collection, and we have the
Oh,
mouthpiece.
look at that.
I think that I'm talking about with my memory, but I think that there are 2 mouthpieces out of the 3 ones in this collection. So
Well, this one is the one I was using, right?
Yes, that one is the one.
It's the color anyway. I'm not sure if it's the same
the
mouthpiece.
color and also the measures are very similar. Yes, and I wanted you to have that collection and something like a memory of this.
Fantastic.
Of this experience, and to thank you.
So you told me that the sizes are on here too in Roman numeral. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the number 14 is the one that you liked. Yeah, probably this is the one, and also 17.
This one you sent me
that's
too.
21, and also that's number 8.
I love the colors
this is also
too.
one. Yeah, the
colors are beautiful too on these things.
Yeah, I needed to make these.
You know, the rock and roll guitar players, they can play different guitars, but the minute a brass instrument does colors, they go, who's he think he is? That's the way it is in the United States. They're like,
and
why
it's
is
the funny thing of 3D printing.
you could be yourself. You could have a little bit of style if you're a trombone or a trumpet player. You know, but guitar players do it all the time. They have beautiful guitars, pink and purple and black and white. Why can't we do that?
Let's do this.
Yeah,
Let's do this.
I love it. Beautiful.
It's another part
Thank you.
of this project. Thank you too.
Thank you very much. Awesome.
And now we have another
toast.
Share the wine. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, Ozzie, for this experience. Thank you for bringing this project into the higher part. Last year, in these dates, I was watching you in Madrid, but just the week before, I was climbing the highest mountain in Spain with a Musicrioja t-shirt, because I wanted this project to be in the top.
It's top as high as
but
you can go.
I never thought that I would reach this top. So thank you for making true a dream that I never had. And as you said, I was prepared for the moment, and I'm enjoying a lot this travel. And it's a pleasure to meet artists like you.
Well, you deserve it. You put a lot of time and energy in, and you look like you have all your sights set on an incredible goal. And if it works out, it's going to help a lot of people. And I appreciate it.
Thank you. Ozzie.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Gracias. Oh my goodness, that's too good.
It's good. Yes.
It's good.
Thank you again, and enjoy the show tomorrow. Enjoy the end of the tour.
Well, once again, I appreciate all the gifts. Beautiful shirt that I was given. It has his logo and my logo.
For closing that
It's a beautiful
collaboration.
thing.
Yeah. Thank you, Ozzie.
Thank you very much.